It's the Central Group 4 Championship game. Live on News 12 Varsity from High Point Solutions Stadium, Rutgers, the campus on Piscataway, New Jersey. Hi again, everybody. Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner with you. Thanks so much for joining us on News 12 Varsity. Greg, you get a game here where you're coming in with two teams. Again, one is known to be here before. The other one, they haven't been here before, really. And I think that's just the big difference between the two. One is experienced, the other one doesn't.
Absolutely. But you know what? Allentown is poised for this. Jay Graber, the head coach at Allentown, has built a program that has been making gradual strides to this point. So not the least bit surprised to see the Redbirds here. Brick, I mean, when you think of postseason football, one of the programs you think about, not just in the short conference, but the entire state of New Jersey, it's Brick.
7 sectional championships in their program's history, the last one coming in 2013. Their head coach, Glenn Zdanowicz, in his second year at the helm, he won a title with Brick Township back in the day when he was playing. Also had one when he was coaching as one of the assistant coaches. Well, Allentown coming in at 9-2. They just upended the two-time defending champion Jackson Memorial. Only trip back in 2014. They lost that game. That was an overtime loss. Right now tied for the most wins in program history. They would love to get the most wins in program history on top of winning a championship. Fresh 12 minutes on the clock. Pigskin on the pylon from left to right. Thanks so much for joining us as the ball hops right through the legs of Chavis. Still picks it up, runs down the near sideline, and they'll begin right around the 15. In Allentown wearing the white uniforms today, the black helmets and the red bottoms. Of course, Brick Township in their classic greens. Here comes Jordan Winston. The senior QB this season can do it in the air. He could do it on the ground. More than 1,000 yards in both categories. 21 overall touchdowns. 11 coming from the ground. 10 in the air. Just 3 interceptions. That's a big number. Close to 60% success rate. 1st and 10 from the 15. And the run right up the middle. Let's take a look at the lineup. Hill, Capone, Triscari, Puglisi, and Huth are the front 5 guys. Queen, Bellotti, Harris are the wide receivers. Menino is the running back, and Ricky Mottram is the tight end. And a nice little run here from Menino. A guy who maybe goes a little unnoticed here in New Jersey as a pretty efficient runner with the numbers he has, over 1,000 so far on the ground this year. But I think that just comes with the territory when you have Jordan Winston on your team.
No doubt about it. But I'll tell you what, Menino's credentials are legit.
From the 32, here's Menino again. Goes into 2 different players and pulls his way out of bounds, picking up a nice little gain. Take a look at this defense for Brick. Running the 3-4. Malta, Finelli, and Engelhart, the front 3 guys. Obenauer, Carcio, Talmadge, Helstalski are the linebackers. Williams, Taylor, Prado, and Leblow are in the secondary. Winston uses the block, cuts back towards the middle of the field, dances his way up just shy of the 40-yard line, and he'll spot him down right at the 39. It'll be a 3rd down and short. Looks like a 3rd and 3. Now Jordan Winston this season, he can do a little bit of everything, as Chavis will take the snap straight, and Chavis is outside the numbers. Far sideline, taken out of bounds at the 39.
Running the Wildcat right there. You can see why. Gives him a chance to read where the defense is, react to the defense, and then break off a huge run like that down to the 39 of Brick.
This is a very run-heavy team. Offensively, they average more than 325 yards on the ground, more than 400 yards overall, and 48 touchdowns rushing this season. Winston right into the body of Menino. Jukes back towards his right, and will pick up a few yards. Overall, this offensive line has done a pretty good job, and they're trying to pass the ball a lot more. When you have a guy who has the arm like Winston does, he's going to be a left-handed pitcher going to Oklahoma State. Again, that's a big school to pitch for, to play baseball for. He's got the tools there. They show blitz, and they're going to be marked up for that one. Talmadge was the one who encroached.
Now, Jordan's dad was the late former pitcher of the Phillies, Darren Winston, so he has his dad's genes. His father would be proud to watch Jordan play and the way he's competed throughout his high school career.
Multi-year starter. Cuts back to the right, picks up the first down. So a nice sustained opening drive here. Last game for him was actually one of the lowest he had, at least in pass attempts and completions, even though they're trying to throw the ball a little bit more. Outside, here's Menino. Gets past the 10. And he'll be marked down at the 9. This offense just loves to run quick tempo plays. And when you have really multiple of different weapons in the arsenal, it's dangerous. Menino was one of them. Bumps off one tackle, cuts past the 10-yard line right over the number. Flag is going to be on the play.
So many teams these days, that run spread, run no huddle. But the no huddle is being run in its purest sense right here by the Redbirds, because they're literally getting to the line of scrimmage and snapping the ball up. They're not getting to the line of scrimmage. They're not looking at the sideline for a play. They're not readjusting their alignment. It almost looks like, and I'd be curious to ask Jay Graber postgame, if they've scripted these first couple series, because the way they're running right now, they're getting right into a formation immediately when the ball is spotted, and they're executing again. That doesn't allow Brick the chance to substitute, and it can wear you down in a hurry.
Triscari, the center, has to be helped off. He'll be replaced by Frank Menino, the junior, who is also Joe's little brother. Taking some snaps this year at center. All three inside guys actually on this line are new. Biglisi, the sophomore, the junior in Capone, and then Triscari and now Menino taking over at center. A lot of mixing and matching for Coach Graber. Harrison Hill, who's a tight end last year, he moves to the left tackle. Huth, who's going to play at Princeton, had plenty of offers. He's at right tackle. Jordan Winston. High snap, pump fakes, looks to throw for the first time. Cross the middle, deflected away. He was looking for Xavier Harris.
That's the super sophomore, Cole Groeschel, breaking up that play. He works both sides of the ball for the Green Dragons. He's got a bright future. His dad, Jay, the head baseball coach for the Green Dragons. He's also an assistant coach on the football team.
Groeschel second on the team in tackles. Also has 3 INTs this year. Tough guy to really throw the football to. 2nd and 20. Winston on the keeper. Not a big gain.
That guy right there, number 34 for Brick, Dean Helstowski, the middle linebacker. He's the tone setter for the Green Dragon defense, gets after people, always has a nose for the football.
Coach saying, quote, he's our guy on defense. Nothing he could do, but just the incomplete pass intended for Joe Bellotti. Almost see him on that play. A bunch of the Green Dragons just walked right through the offensive line. And then Winston said, what am I going to do now? So 4th down and 20. Again, not a team that usually kicks, and it's a little bit deep for them. So they'll go for it on 4th and 20. Deflected away right off of the hands of Jay Obenauer, the senior captain. Turnover on downs.
Big stop. That penalty obviously sends the Redbirds back. They have 1st and goal at the 9. That resets them at 1st and goal at 21. They can't budge beyond that. So Brick bends a little, does not break. Now takes over. And keep an eye on the electrifying Jasir Taylor, the senior, going to Temple. Versatile, they'll use him at Wildcat, which looks like they might be running right now to start this series.
That's where Taylor begins as Groeschel runs back out on the field. 3 receivers on the near side, 2 on the far. Man in motion is McCall, and some movement at the line. It's going to go against the Redbirds. Gives a chance to look at this offense. Front five guys, Finelli, Piscope, Giuliano, Malta, and Poland. Taylor and Groscheller in the slots, Williams and Prado. The other two receivers, McCall is the running back, Kostalski is the tight end. So Taylor stands over the middle. Will keep it himself after the snap. Jukes to the outside. He's past the 30-yard line, now past the 35. And gets himself a nice gain on first down.
You see him plant that foot, get himself prepared to make a cut. When you're a guy coming up from the secondary or trying to get out to the sideline at a linebacker spot, he's shifty, man.
No, we haven't seen the QB yet. Anthony Costanza, the senior captain who has done a little bit of everything. He's run, he's thrown. Man in motion, McCall. Taylor gets it, spins out of it. Not the second time. Swarming to the ball was Colin Roy. Let's take a look at this D. Huth, Quinones, Hill, and Triscari, the front four guys. Triscari, again, just came out with an injury before, but he's back out there. Boyle, Mottram, Brown, and Roy. Mottram highlights the linebackers. Queen, Winston, Lockey, and Chavis. Was it to be aware of number 32, the middle linebacker. 135 tackles so far this season. Taylor again, ball's loose.
Fumble on the exchange, recovered by Taylor.
Taylor will still hang on to it. So on second down, that got dangerous trying to get it over to Groeschel. So 3rd and 14, and Jasir Taylor will get the calls. Again, we mentioned he is going to Temple, had some offers elsewhere. Stony Brook, Wake Forest, leading the team, rushing TDs, really the go-to guy for Brick Township. And a false start's going to be called against the Green Dragons. 8-3 overall this season. Won their first two games against Brick and Jackson Memorial. Then a loss at Toms River North where they allowed 62, and one of the highest, if not the highest points that team has ever surrendered this entire season, and not even just the season, in the program's history. And that was reminded of this defense. St. John Vianney, they lost in overtime, another good opponent, but then they bounced back with 3 straight wins. Another loss, and then they've been rolling in the playoffs. The number 1 seed, Taylor airs it out down the far sideline. Incomplete on the coverage was Ryan Lockey.
He was looking for John Prado, the senior wide receiver slash defensive back slash do everything for Brick.
A well-thrown ball down that far side, just didn't have the right accuracy on who he's intending it to. So the punting unit will come out. Joe Carcio will come out to boot it from left to right. Chavis back to receive. Takes a bounce right at the 35-yard line, and a generous one for Brick Township, as it's going to be inside of the 20-yard line and spotted down right at the 17.
It's interesting because, you know, you see teams over the course of the year, and I haven't seen Brick for a while now. I saw them twice early. And Jasir Taylor had been the punter at times. And it almost gave you a sense that when he was back there, expect the unexpected, i.e. the fake. So Joe Carcio being back there is a development that it bears watching to see every once in a while if Jasir Taylor does line up at punter just to try and spring something.
So now our second drive, and again, they got down to 1st and goal from the 9. Penalties hurt them there. Winston takes the snap, will hand it off to Menino, who jukes back up and only gets maybe a yard. Actually, I don't think they're going to even give him a yard. He'll be just at the line of scrimmage. For an offense this season that has been averaging 38 points per game, and how has the season gone for them? Losses in 2 of their first 3 games, but since then they have been rolling. 7 consecutive victories. Here's a good run from Menino into the secondary, lowers the shoulder, and gets knocked out of bounds right at the 37.
Tough guy, man. You can see he's got a good base, man, big thighs, runs hard. And if you want to hit him low, just realize that you're probably going to catch one of those thighs under the chin.
20-yard gain.
A returning starter who, in his career, 28 total rushing touchdowns and 2,300 total yards. Ball's loose. Chavis lost it. We'll see if he grabbed it back. Carcio was trying to reach in there, and it seems it will stay the Allentown way.
Good job fighting for that football and recovering it. Because I thought Jack Finelli was going to get on top of that. Big number 73 from Brick. Luckily, he was right on top of that ball.
So some early nerves on both sides to start. Brick shows blitz, and this will definitely be a false start. As Cameron Capone actually fell backwards, jumping too quickly. So the junior first-year starter will end up making it now a 2nd and long. Back at the 30-yard line. Queen and Harris will slide out on the far side. Bellotti and Lockey on the near. Chavis standing behind Jordan Winston. Into the chest of Chavis. Gets the good block, spins his way past the 40-yard line. And that will now at least give them a chance here on 3rd down to try and convert.
14-yard pickup for Chavis, getting big chunks there. Gives him a 3rd and 4. That's something that's doable, manageable for Allentown.
2 receivers on each side. Winston with the high snap, pulls it in with one hand. He'll get the first down, and now he's free. Past the Brick Township 40-yard line, marked down at the 38.
Competitor, gritty. Yeah, I didn't see Allentown this year. I saw them last year in the playoffs when they beat Freehold Borough in the first round. And I love the fact that Jordan always thinks he can make something positive. As long as he's got the ball in his hands, something good is going to happen that's ingrained in his mind, and it kind of becomes a contagious effect upon the offense.
An injured Brick Township player down on the field, just shy of the 50. With 4 minutes and 34 seconds to go here in the opening quarter, it's the 9-2 Allentown Redbirds and the 8-3 Brick Township Dragons. Dan Sabrino, Greg Lerner, thanks so much for joining us. Josh Noble, our producer, cameraman, Kevin Devaney Jr. on the graphics today here at High Point Solutions Stadium, Piscataway, New Jersey. We've already played 2 games here today. This morning it was Piscataway who defeated Manalapan. And then most recently, pretty good game between 2 teams where Sayreville came back up top to beat Middletown North. 1st and 10 from the 38. Right back to the line of scrimmage. Christian Malta was on the tackle, the sophomore. This sophomore class has been spectacular. 8 different players on this sophomore group have contributed in a big way. And at times, 4 and 5 starting on offense, another 6 on defense. It's just worked out for them. Chavis looks to the far side. And the speedy senior will pick up the first down.
Running that jet, get him some space, get him around the corner. And then it's up to Aiden to do what he does best, which is consume and devour hash marks.
First and 10 from the 26-yard line. Chavis the man in motion. Winston will keep it himself. Cuts back towards the middle, right up the seam. And he'll pick up a 2-yard gain. This group, a second-year head coach in Zendanowicz, and for him, coming back to being able to be the head coach of the team that he starred on, that he did start pretty much his coaching career with. Big shoes to fill, of course, with Warren Wolf and all the years that he was there for 5 decades, 51 years to be exact. Really built a program for this group. Still is involved very much in the community and still is involved actually with the team. And at points, Zendanowicz told me when he's in times of trouble, he just goes, what would Coach Wolf do? And that's what he does. He just thinks about that, and that's how he reacts, and his assistant coaches do exactly the same. Winston moving those legs and initiates some contact, getting down to the 4.
Those big legs are what drive a pitcher off the mound to generate heat on a fastball. They also serve him pretty well on the gridiron. Jordan Winston doing work.
Winston keeps it himself, looking to the end zone. Touchdown! Allentown is on the board.
You got to love it when your quarterback is willing to sacrifice his body to make a play, including throwing it across the goal line, bracing for contact, knowing it's coming, and absorbing it in order to find pay dirt. Impressive drive by the Redbirds.
Chris McCray out to kick. 46 of 60 on PATs this season, but swings this well left. So the extra point is no good. It's a 6-0 lead for Allentown with 2:32 to play here in this opening quarter. It was Jordan Winston's 12th rushing TD of the season. That has given the Redbirds the lead.
The NJSIAA would like to thank our corporate sponsors.
Well, for Allentown overall, last game just showed they had that heart, dedication. Their goal was always to win a sectional championship, to defeat the 2-time defending champs in Jackson Memorial, an elite program in this state. That's how they measure themselves, you know, among with all those publics. But it was a win, and an important win for this game, because they were able to hold Mike Golick to one of his season lows, actually one of the lowest he had in over a year, 2015. That was the last time he had that. 31 carries and 90 yards and a TD, only the TD when pretty much the game was out of reach at that point. But defensively, they stepped up against one of the best running backs you're going to see among the public schools, and it all paid off, getting themselves here to the championship game. Just a gritty effort.
Number 23.
McCray scoots it on the carpet and jumped on right at the 39.
The kick handled by Birdie.
It's Rob Spinello, the senior. Played it nicely, so good field position for Brick Township on their second drive. We didn't see QB Anthony Costanzo once on that first series. Now he is in the game, but runs out as a wide receiver on the near side. He slotted out way to the near side. 3 receivers out on the far side left. Jasir Taylor will take the snap. The handoff to McCall. Nice spin move. And a powerful one. That will pick up 7 yards.
Saw McCall going with a little hockey move with the spinorama there at the line of scrimmage to pick up a significant gain.
Rashawn McCall, 96 carries, 619, and 9 touchdowns. Zandanowicz called him like a bowling ball. Not very big, only 5'7", 175 pounds. Doesn't mind initiating contact, and you saw the spin moves he has. Taylor to McCall again. McCall, stiff arms one, tucks it under his arm, and gets himself into Allentown territory for the first time today.
Nice little subtle move there, too, to pick himself up an extra 4 or 5 yards.
Again, it's not completely unusual to not have their usual starting QB not line up under center, but you kind of wonder if at points with this, and if you're Allentown, you're looking at it and going, okay, well, when is the trick play almost going to come? I know that's what I'm feeling. When is it going to come at some point? When is he going to all of a sudden take the ball and then throw it? 3 receivers on the far side, 2 on the near. 1st and 10 from the 48-yard line of Redbird territory. McCall, the man in motion. Delay of game penalty. We'll make it a 1st and 15 from their own 47. Here's Taylor. Big loss. Triscari. Or check that, it was Ryan Huth.
Back to the 41-yard line.
Ryan Youth showing some strength. That's one-handed takedown right there.
Huth, a 6'2", 625 senior, who had about 10 or 11 other offers besides Princeton, but elected to go the Ivy League route. Starts on both sides of the football. 2nd and 21. Taylor throws to McCall, nearly picked off. Cameron Capone.
Taylor's pass nearly intercepted by Cameron Capone.
That's a great read by Capone, man. He sniffed it out. McCall was behind him. He was right in between the ball and the man. Heady breakup of the pass.
The guy, I don't think he was expecting the ball to be anywhere near him.
So now Brick is looking at 3rd and 21 from its own 41. Costanza still has not been under center yet.
Taylor, chest-high snap. Here comes the blitz. Girls it across the middle into the flats. It is caught. And he'll get him right past midfield again on the reception by Prado.
It's one of the few times so far that Brick's ventured over the middle because, one, Ricky Motram is patrolling it, and as you see right there, Ricky makes the tackle on that middle screen.
Joe Carcio in punt formation. Back deep, Aiden Chavis.
Chavis back to receive. Low snap, and it's blocked. Lucky pounced on the ball.
Yeah, it looked like Jaquel Brown was the man who blocked that punt coming off the edge. And I noticed on the first punt, too, the kick was Carcio kind of leaned towards the right, and that's where the pressure come from. Right here, one-handed, too, gets one hand out and extends it to get a piece of that thing, and now the Redbirds are set up at the Green Dragon 35.
Jaquel Brown, the sophomore, with a big play to set up his offense with some good field position. Now Chavis, check that. Menino loses a handle.
Looks like Jay Obenauer might have been the guy to fall on it for Brick. Or not. It's interesting that the referee emerged from the pile, but it looks like waiting for a signal.
This
So it will be Allentown football when we return. 1 quarter in the books. It's a 6-0 lead. It was Jordan Winston running in the TD. Allentown over Brick Township here in the Central Group 4 championship game, only on News 12 Varsity. Back here on News 12 Varsity, Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner, thanks so much for joining us. Fresh 12 minutes on the clock here in quarter number 2. Brick Township wearing their green uniforms from right to left, Allentown from left to right. The Redbirds have a 2nd and 11 from the 36-yard line. And Jordan Winston decides to just run through a couple of players. He'll be tackled just shy of the 30-yard line. And it was a block punt that got him excellent field position. Chavis. Just a 2-yard gain on 3rd down.
Richie Talmadge coming off the edge to make that hit right there.
Talmadge actually the nephew of head coach Len Zandanowicz. And I was saying, is it a little weird with that? He goes, nah, it's fine. The boys already know. We have such a tight, close-knit community. We're all Brick people. They know it's nothing like that, and it helps that he's also a really good player.
Doesn't hurt.
So on 4th and 5, a timeout needs to be called by Winston as they were going for it. It'll be their first timeout.
So a little history lesson for you, Dan. You know, Allentown is in the CVC, the Colonial Valley Conference, which consists of Mercer County schools, with the exception of one Allentown, which used to be a member of the Shore Conference and is technically in Monmouth County. However, their close proximity to everybody within the CVC made it a natural move into that league quite a few years now. It's got to be like close to 15 years. But they were once upon a time a Shore Conference member.
It's also quite remarkable become a program. You're even saying with Graber what he has done for this team, now getting themselves to a championship game. 2014 was the last time. And only losing, of course, in overtime. But they didn't have a winning season until Graber took over. As Winston has some trouble, picks it back up, and completes the pass to Xavier Harris. Cool, calm, and collective. And a first down on 4th down. Here's a run to the outside. Menino spins in, but they'll say he stepped out of bounds at the 3.
That's awesome footwork nonetheless by Menino, doing a Fred Astaire impersonation, man, tiptoeing on those sidelines. Down to the 3, 17-yard gain.
First and goal from the 3. Here's Menino looking to punch it in. And he does. 18th rushing touchdown of the season for Menino.
It's fun to watch a no-huddle offense run in the traditional sense of the way it's supposed to be run. And they're doing it kind of not, I don't want to say it's flying in the face of the way most teams conventionally run it, which is within the spread, because they're running it primarily as a running team. But nonetheless, it's been so effective here early on and obviously through the course of the season.
Extra point from McCray is good. So it's a 13-0 lead. So the Brown blocked punt leads to good field position for Allentown, which then results in a 4th down conversion. Winston dropped the ball, picked it back up, smoothly passed it over to Harris, completed the 1st down. The big run by Menino brings him down to the 3. And then with the 1st and goal situation, he punches it in for the TD. So far in 3 possessions for Allentown, they've brought it down to 1st and goal at the 9. Turnover on downs after some penalties. They scored a touchdown from Winston, where they started on their own 17-yard line. And then the most recent series, which you just saw. And a 13-zip advantage against one of the most storied programs in the area. Less than 90 seconds off the clock here in quarter number 2. Another squib. And it was Obenauer who just picked it up and jumped on the ball, starting them at the 35-yard line.
So now it's interesting to note, during the season, Anthony Costanza was hurt. He had like an ankle that he was nursing. And at that point, John Prado was playing quarterback. I covered them against Lakewood during the season when John Prado was handling the quarterback stuff. And obviously, Jasir Taylor once in a while was getting involved as a Wildcat set, which we've seen here so far tonight. But once again, he's not at the quarterback position. It makes you start to wonder if it's a health issue. But he's still on the field because he's still been lining up out wide.
Yeah, if he wasn't out there, I think that's a different story. As now, Taylor will look to throw and completes a pass, but only 1 yard after that forward progress, as it was for McCall. But yeah, Costanzo keeps lining up on the outside. Unless there was a number change that we're unaware of. That's the only thing I can think of, but doesn't seem like it. 2nd down and 9. For the Green Dragons, empty backfield. Taylor will take the snap. Another high one, but brings it right up the gut. Still churns those legs, and then gets taken down the other way. Jaquel Brown, among others. Ricky Mottram, Brown, etc.
From the 40.
Third and 4, across the middle, picked off by Brown. He's looking for the end zone. Only has Taylor to beat. Gets the block and a pick 6 for Jaquel Brown.
40-yard interception. What a great elevation by Jaquel Brown to go up and make the initial pick. And then bob and weave the distance. He's got a posse in front of him to lead the way. Makes a couple of blocks, making a couple of blocks for him. Getting Jasir Taylor out of the way. Allentown starting to roll.
2nd interception of the season for Jaquel Brown, the sophomore. McCray out for the extra point. 1 for 2 today. Make it 2 for 3. And it's a 19-0 lead for Allentown. Just 3 minutes and 5 seconds off the clock here in quarter number 2. So the 20-0 lead after the extra point. And what a start already for the Redbirds. A team that has rarely been in this situation before. Didn't have a winning season until Graber came out as their head coach 7 years ago. And since then, they found themselves in the sectional title for the second time. As the coach who, of course, played over here, and then ended up going on to try and play for Joe Gardy at Hofstra when they still had a football program. Then ended up moving on to Bryant to finish out his career. Was the middle school coach, he was actually the freshman coach of Allentown for 1 year and had the varsity gig just a year later. And since then, he has been able to start building a program over there. And that's what we always talk about so much. I think that's just the difference with football teams. It's build the program, not just year-by-year basis. And these are two schools, one that's on the rise of doing that, and another one who has had a history of doing that. They kick it to Obenauer again, back-to-back times. You kind of wonder if maybe that's part of a game plan. But they'll begin at the 44-yard line.
You know, it's also got to be credited to Jay. You're building a faith and a belief in your program amongst its players. That, you know what, it doesn't matter who we're playing. It doesn't matter what kind of prestige or tradition they have, because prestige and tradition are kind of synonymous with things in the past. Allentown is the team in the present right now.
Brick Township, their own 43. Nasir Taylor hopscotches his way right to the 50, crosses it, and keeps moving those legs. He'll be marked down, looks like at the 49-yard line, as some players come together.
You could see on that carry, Dan, like Jasir had an energy within him, like as a senior, sensing that, hey, this is my last game. It's time for me to send the message, like it's time for us to wake up. He ran pretty hard on that carry. I would expect to see more of the same.
A 4-year starter who has played almost every position possible. He's what you call, when teams recruit, just an athlete. 2nd and 2, the 49-yard line of Allentown territory, and a fumble is going to be recovered by the Redbirds.
Mikhaili Quinones on the recovery at midfield. Another turnover for the Green Dragons. And now we'll see if Allentown can capitalize yet again.
Number 75 gives Green Dragons possession at midfield.
So back-to-back turnovers. The INT, which was a pick six, and now the fumble. And with ball exactly at midfield, Jordan Winston can go to work with Menino and company. No gain on this carry. But what a start already for Allentown. And this place has gotten pretty quiet. I mean, the Allentown fans are getting loud at points, but I think at this point of the game, it's cold. They're just waiting for things. Things are rolling right now. On that far sideline, you can't hear a thing. 2nd and 10 from the 50. Winston looks to throw from his back foot, and it's a beautiful pass, which is caught by Xavier Harris. Lost a handle, but he was already down.
And a good read by John Prado to make that tackle too, man. Shoestring tackle, because if he doesn't make it, there's plenty of space to be explored by Harris.
Harris on the reception. 3rd and 3.
3rd down and 3. Harris shimmies his way past for another first down.
Jordan Winston showing great feet, cutting, being patient, letting his block set up to create a lane. Picking up 6.
At the Green Dragons 37.
Winston into the hands of Menino. And this will be a 3-yard pickup.
Menino, Winston, no matter who's carrying the ball, always finishing forward.
Winston takes the block and spins up
Jordan Winston.
past the 30 down to the 29.
Getting a nice escort from the fullback, Nick Campbell.
Mottram on the carry. And it went straight to him.
Man, that's kind of freaky, man. I don't want to see the big cat in the Wildcat, because when he's coming through with squared shoulder pads, that is a frightening sight.
Ricky Mottram does it all. In the classroom as well, he's actually going to be the valedictorian of the school.
Love it. Love that.
Tons of schools looking at him, some Ivy League, some not. And wouldn't be surprised if he ended up going to the Ivy League, especially with grades like that. Menino take it out of bounds. Looks like they'll give him at the 24 or 23, depending on where they spot this. I'm wrong, 22. So a second down upcoming. This group moves fast. A lot of it is just a lot of run plays over and over again. It's tough for a defense to have to stay on their feet and, one, not get lulled, but two, make sure they're in position each time.
The ball carrier, number 27.
So Chavis will pick up the first down in the process. Maybe 1st and 10 from the 16. Red zone has been a good territory for them thus far. They've scored on their last two inside of the 20.
I like what Allentown does, too. When they're running this no huddle, as Brick looks like he's going to call a timeout right here, slow that tempo down. But they run it in multiple sets. You've seen full house backfields. You've seen Wildcat with Chavis and Mottram running it. You've seen traditional sets with Jordan Winston running out of the backfield in the read option. It makes the defense have to find the football and try to ID who has it, because it's a revolving door, a carousel of guys that are coming out of that backfield carrying the football. And it keeps everybody fresh as well.
And it's not even just them who are running off. It's guys on the line. It's blockers. It seems almost every single play is just a quick 2 guys on, 2 guys off, almost like a line change in hockey, except you're not going with the full 3.
Substitutions on the fly. Get over the boards, fellas. Get over the boards, boys. I like the fact that that when you see this type of offense, it reveals that those guys up front that are blocking are conditioned to maintain and keep up with the pace. They're not holding anything back. They're ready to roll. They're on the ball first to set the line of scrimmage, and then doing work after the snap.
They were preparing to get themselves to this point. Felt they were a championship caliber team in the preseason. Menino straight to the end zone for the TD. There is a flag on the play. Seems this will be coming back.
With the TD run, flag is down.
The exhale from the Allentown faithful below us kind of tipped it off that they might have seen something that displeased them, and I think they did.
So back them up 5 yards. 2nd and 11. Back in the 17. Winston to Menino. Looks to go outside the numbers this time, and Taylor will just wrap them up in the backfield.
That's a guy just here, Taylor, who you don't generally run past. He's got the speed to close on you, and when he puts his hands upon you, they tend to be like vice grips.
They're down and 12. Looking to throw this time. Winston waits, throws to the end zone, trying to find Harris. And it looks like he'll get a pass interference.
Great route by Harris. Xavier Harris runs a double move. He jukes towards the post, then cuts it into a corner fade route. Jordan Winston puts it up, draws the penalty. It's going to get PI and a first down.
Yeah, Winston looked over to his right, knew he could have had him underneath if he wanted, but said, keep going.
And my mistake, too. That is not an automatic first down, by the way. It's still third down.
That's the one rule, of course, the NFL has, one of the few rules that are completely different, at least in terms of yardage and whatnot. Meanwhile, Winston will end up still picking up the first down, so it all works out. First and goal from the 3. Fourth time already they've been here, and the third time they'll score. 26 unanswered points, a 3-yard rushing TD from Jordan Winston.
Now, you know, you mentioned that Jordan Winston is going to Oklahoma State. I'm kind of curious if Mike Gundy can find a place for this guy on the football team with the Cowboys. They could use him in the Bedlam game against Oklahoma today.
His second of the game, 13th of the season, and the extra point is right between the 2 yellow bars. $27-0. 4:05 to play here in the second quarter, and I don't think anybody expected this kind of performance already. Maybe they expected both teams to come out like this before. I don't think anybody expected this kind of score so early in the contest.
I'll admit, I mean, I did pick Allentown to win this game, but I didn't think they were going to come out and be as decisive as they've been so far in the first half. I mean, capitalizing on turnovers, a pick six, running the ball efficiently, getting a lot of guys involved, neutralizing Brick's offense, doing everything you need to do to beat a Brick team. And to have a 27-0 lead here with still 4 minutes to go in the second quarter, you're right. I can honestly speak for myself. I did not see it coming to this degree.
Already 14 points off of turnovers, and they have scored on their last 4 possessions, but every time they've actually had the football, at least the offensive series, they've been able to get it down to first and goal. And I think that's just what's the most spectacular part of it. And plus, they weren't starting from easy field positions to begin this game. Again, their first touchdown, they start on their own 17.
Yeah, I think that is something I agree wholeheartedly with. What's been very impressive is that they've moved the football on every possession. And even if you don't score on every possession, you're still wearing down a defense to a degree.
They kick it to Openauer again. So he'll get them to the 36-yard line. And Brick Township has some catching up to do. We still have not seen starting QB Anthony Costanza.
I think he's going under center now. I see him being the one who's addressing the huddle, and in fact he is. Anthony Costanza will be taking his first snaps under center now for Brick, as a gale of trash makes its way across the field.
Yeah, it's a windy day. It really has picked up even more. So it took until the 5th series, and their captain will air it out over to Taylor. Shoestring tackle made by Winston against Taylor will at least stop a bigger gain from the Temple-bound senior. It's up on the 42-yard line. Costanza, again, 55% completion rating this season. 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs, but also 449 yards on the ground on 116 carries. He'll look to throw. Taylor again on the near sideline. That will pick up the first down. So pretty much the same exact play, back to back. And it results in at least moving the chains.
Well, it's no surprise. That's what Brick wants to do. They want to get Jasir in space to let him fly and use that speed of his, because when he does get his strides, he's tough to catch.
Shotgun formation, 2 receivers on both sides. McCall at the left hip. Into the breadbasket of McCall. He'll go maybe a yard or 2.
McCall on the carry, wrapped up by number 75.
John McCall last game. 6 carries, 58 yards, and a touchdown, which was a 35-yard touchdown run. in their win over Freehold Borough. 24-23, November the 18th, that Friday night game where they probably could have won by more if they didn't make some mistakes late. At least that's what their coach felt. Here's Costanza as he'll take the carry, and he'll just get himself 2 yards.
That's one of Anthony's finer attributes at quarterback. He is mobile. He can run the football out of the read option and get you positive yardage.
So a 3rd down and 5. Believe it or not, only 0 for 2 on 3rd downs because they've turned over the football last couple of possessions. 2 receivers on both sides. McCall at the right hip. Flag on this play. Could be a free one, and Fredo can't hang on to the football. Tried to run before he actually made the catch.
And by the way, on behalf of the guys that are joining me in the press box, whoever is wafting the sausage and pepper aroma into this press box right now is committing such a human atrocity right now for 4 guys that are starving.
I was just about to say the same exact thing. As you were thinking that, I was waiting for a point to say, is that sausage and pepper?
It smells delicious wherever it's coming from. We need Kevin DeBay to hang a sign out the one that says, "Feed us, please."
What if it's a tailgate, maybe for the last game that we have? It was an illegal formation penalty that was declined, so it'll be a 4th down and 5. Ball's on the 47-yard line. 2 receivers on both sides again. McCall at the right hip. Chest high snap. Costanza looks down the middle, looking for Taylor, and overshoots his target as Winston was matched up with Taylor the whole way. It'll be a turnover on downs. So one of the better drives that we've seen from Brick Township, but still not enough, as they get themselves to the 47-yard line of Allentown territory, but have nothing to show for it. Two minutes to go here in the first half. Play action, pump fake, looking down the near sideline, intended for Xavier Harris. Again, the guy who leads the team in receptions, receiving yards, receiving TDs. Already threw to him once and got a pass interference out of it, and also has a catch to him as well.
I think one of the signs of Jordan's growth at quarterback is last year when I saw him against Freehold Borough, they scored the winning touchdown on almost an ad-lib pass that broke, a play that broke down that Jordan picked up, and he found Ricky Motram up the middle for the decisive touchdown. Seeing him throw the ball today, he looks more like a pure passer when he drops back and decides to throw.
Moving those legs. Getting up to the 46-yard line.
Running hard at the middle, Jordan Winston.
It was Jordan Winston. It's funny because Winston doesn't look like the fastest guy, but he kind of has that breakaway speed at points. Runs a pretty good 40 from what Graber was telling me. He says about a 4.51. Pretty solid numbers. Just decisively fast.
He's got that low base, that low center of gravity, which makes him tough to tackle. And he seems to always have that force going forward where he's the one who, when he's getting hit, he might be giving out the better of it. He's not taking lumps as much as he's delivering them.
From the 39, finesses a ball down the near sideline. That is caught by Sadiq Queen.
Winston's pass on the money to Sadiq Queen, number 6.
Queen's 10th reception this season. Guy who has 2 TDs also for the sophomore.
27-yard gain, puts a little air under it, lets Sadiq get under that, run under it. Nice job keeping 2 feet in bounds. That's a catch in the NFL, let alone high school.
Looking to throw. Intercepted. Jimmy Leblow. His 4th INT of the season. That's a team high. They'll get him from the goal line and get a couple of yards on the return, just to the 2. There is a flag at the end of that play.
Might be holding on for this one. This could be defensive pass interference because it looked like Harris was cutting across the middle on a slant. But yet, Kevin Devaney, the wise old sage that he is, he looked right over at me and said, nope, this is going to be a face mask penalty. He was correct. I defer to the wise one.
So it'll be the sophomore Leblow's 4th interception of the season, as Winston, again, just looking right across the middle. And even though they're up by this much and it's late in the second quarter, they were looking to throw on this drive. You try and keep them off their toes. As a team, 15 INTs on the year, and that could be a big one if you can maybe go down, get some momentum here, and then go into halftime. You still have to kick it off to start the second, or actually you will receive to start the second half, but this could be a good start for them.
Yeah, I mean, asking them to drive 73 yards is tough, but if nothing else, it at least kept Allentown out of the end zone to build on that lead that they have. It's already substantial. You don't want it to get any bigger.
They'll run it to the outside. A 2-yard gain. Again, this is, of course, one of the problems also with a team that is so run-heavy. When you are trailing by as many as you are in a contest, it's so much tougher to come back.
And they are going in that direction right now where the wind is kind of in their face a little bit, too. Becomes like the 12th defender on the field.
2nd and 8. The 19, 20 seconds on the game clock. Taylor will look to throw this time as he went under center, looking for Prado. It's caught right at the 41.
I love to watch Johnny Prado play. He's a gamer. He does things on both sides. I'll give you, for instance, Dan, they were playing Toms River North early in the season, and it had gotten out of hand. Toms River North was up pretty big. Late in the game, and there's John making 3, 4, 5 catches late in the game because in his mind, as long as he's still on the field, there's still work to be done, and the scoreboard matters very little because you're still being based and judged on your effort. And I feel like I had a conversation with Lenza Danowitz after a game against Lakewood about John and the fact that that kind of exemplary behavior has a lasting image and impression on some younger guys who know this is the way you're expected to play. That's why Brick has their tradition it does, because of guys like that.
And leads the team in all of the receiving categories and picks up the 22-yarder. Encroachment will back him up 5 yards, or push him up 5 yards, rather than. So it'll now be a 1st and 5 from the 46. 12 seconds to go here in the half. Taylor rolls out to the far side, has plenty of time to step into one. Undershoots his throw, and a couple of his players almost ran into one another. Not sure which player he was actually intending on that far sideline, because he had a couple of guys. Rochelle was out there.
I'll tell you what, though, it was Leblow, Jim Leblow, who came back because there was a defender camping under it for Allentown. He checked back to the ball and broke that up, became a defender as the offensive receiver to give Brick one more chance at a Hail Mary here to end the first half.
So from their own 46, down 27-0 and 3 seconds on the game clock. They'll drop back to secondary way back there for Allentown. Taylor's just going to go off to the races instead. Taylor. Take it down at the 40. And it was by Colin Roy. That will end the half. And Allentown, it has been all their half. 27-0. They lead Brick Township in only their second ever sectional championship game. We'll be back with more in the third quarter on News 12 Varsity.
be Chris McCray, number 23. Back deep, number 6, Jasier Taylor.
Welcome back to News 12 Varsity. We start our third quarter. Allentown up big over Brick Township, 27-0 here in the Central Group 4 championship game. Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner, Josh Noble, our producer, Kevin Devaney Jr. on graphics. Thanks so much for joining us as Chris McCray will kick it from left to right for Allentown, right into the hands of Obenauer. This time, instead of just jumping on it, he'll bring it up about 5 yards. And Brick Township will begin this drive, the first one in the second half, right at their own 45-yard line.
Most glaring first half number. Got to find it real fast. Allentown, 38 carries for 242 yards on the ground in the first half. That's mind-blowing.
They are a team that's been averaging about 325 per game. Right now they're ahead of schedule on that one. Meanwhile, Brick Township as a team, just 40 yards on the ground, 86 overall in the game on 24 plays. Costanza did not take a snap at QB until the 5th series. He didn't in the last series either. It has been Jasier Taylor. And he does that again, but no gain on the carry. So you kind of wonder if maybe something was up. Maybe don't want him throwing as much, mix things up. Costanza, again, was not a real traditional starter in years past, almost like Wally Pipp, as Zdanowicz was joking. Just came out of nowhere at one point. They needed someone. Guys went down. He started throwing the football and said, hey, you want to stay at QB because you look pretty good there, and it kind of worked out for them.
In the preseason, the competition was between him and John Prado for the quarterback spot, and Anthony got it.
Taylor shimmies back towards his left. He'll be taken down by a couple of Allentown players. First one on the tackle was Ryan Huth.
Taylor on the keeper. Number 53, Ryan Huth. Number 4 also there, Jacob Brown.
Huth and Brown. Brown had a heck of a first half. A blocked punt, which ended up leading to a touchdown. And then had a pick 6, which made this a 20-0 game. So far, 14 points off of turnovers. But really the possession battle, at least in terms of time of possession, fairly even. Allentown up by about 3 minutes. Just nothing to show for Brick Township. Nice tackle on the far side by Winston after the completed catch.
Taylor's pass complete. Connecting with Anthony Costanza.
So Costanza reeling in the catch. Only got a handful of receptions this season. So it'll be a 3rd down and 1. Over 4 on 3rd downs today. The team that punted on their first 2 drives had an INT, then a fumble, then a turnover on downs, then the last one, time just expired in the half. They'll go for it on 4th. First time today. Taylor jukes back, gets the first down, gets past Chavis, past Winston, and eventually tackled by Chavis all the way down at the 37-yard line.
Good second effort by Jasier right there. Bounced off the initial contact, picks up 9.
Jasier Taylor in the first half rushing. 7 carries for 24 yards. Also aired out some passes. 3 of 7 for 34. 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line of Allentown territory. Reverse to the outside. Here's Prado. Tackle for a loss. Davis.
Nice job. Great read. Stay at home. Make a play.
Led in the backfield by number 27.
Aiden Chavis, 5'7", 170. He doesn't look big on the field, even from up here. Guy's done a real solid job as one of the team's cornerbacks. These cornerbacks, too, I mean, it opens up a lot of options for them because guys in the past, they weren't really able to run a bunch of different defensive schemes. Now they can play man-to-man. They're good one-on-one coverage and then even good at reading plays just like that. Taylor underhops a throw over to Groeschel. Incomplete.
Groeschel, number 7, incomplete. That'll bring up 4th and 15.
So another failed third down. I'll check that. It was second down. Third down and 15. First drive here of the third quarter. Taylor with the empty backfield. They show blitz. Swims past one, throws on the run, knocked away, looking for Costanza. Sadiq Queen on the coverage.
Great job by Sadiq, reading the pass, getting to the ball, playing the ball.
Fourth and 15, down by 27. I think you kind of know you're going for it at this point. There will be a flag on the play. There'll be a sideline warning against Allentown. The first time today we've seen that.
Can I share something with you, Dan? And a few people that are listening here. It's my biggest fear is getting whistled for a sideline infraction. Because I cover a game from the sideline, and if you get too close, no matter the fact you're not affiliated with the sideline.
Incomplete.
If you're not affiliated with the sideline, it doesn't matter. So if I happen to be on a team sideline and a referee runs into me and throws a flag up for sideline interference, it's that team's sideline that catches the brunt of the penalty, and I have to live with the shame. So I'm always trying to be very wary of not getting too close to the action, because that could be embarrassing.
Turnover on downs, by the way. Carcio unable to bring it in. He was open, just couldn't catch it. I don't blame you, because then I think everyone's going to start jumping on you, and it's all your fault.
Yeah.
Chavis, after the turnover on downs, picks up one. Well, back-to-back turnover on downs, because if you don't count that last drive as the quarter ended. 2 punts to start off this game. It's been a pretty anemic offense thus far. And even though Winston hasn't needed a big play, we haven't really even seen that big of plays. I mean, there haven't been 25, 30-yard gains. Yeah, here and there. Maybe one or two, but it hasn't been consistent. It's just been about taking the time of possession, driving the ball down the field, marching down and just doing it right, and finding themselves in good spots to score.
Methodical. That's what they've really been, methodical.
Be a third down and 6. Winston, the signal caller, will take it from the shotgun this time. Look to throw. And had a cutting Xavier Harris coming across, but just short-armed him. So 3 and out will result in a punt. One of the rare times they've done that today.
Chris McCray out to punt, number 23.
McCray out to boot it.
Groeschel back deep along with Taylor.
The first time today he has punted the football. There will be 2 back to receive. A 5-yard penalty for an illegal substitution against the D. So this will actually make it a 4th and 1. Now you kind of wonder, and that's exactly what I expected him to do. Go for it. You're already up by that much. Try and continue this drive and kill off more of the clock. Don't forget, if you get to 35, it ends up becoming a running clock. Timeout's going to be called by Brick Township.
I just like the fact that Allentown decisively makes that decision, then hustles the offensive unit out onto the field. They get set, and Brick doesn't like it and has to burn a timeout just to get coordinated and organized. That's the type of little thing that leads to 27-0 and potentially a sectional championship for Allentown. And again, it's a window into the growth of this program. The subtleties and how important they are, the details, when you add them all together, you get championship quality football.
Talk about playing as a team. And that's something that Jay Graber was talking about to me this week, and I asked him about what is the strength of this group. There's one big strength. Sometimes coaches will say, oh, our offensive line's really good. Oh, we tackle well. He says, no, we're just a team of guys who understand their role. They don't complain about it, and that's such a tough thing to do for high school kids. Sometimes guys want more carries. They want more, receptions thrown their way. They want to be, the bigger guy here. They don't worry about that. It's now they convert on fourth down. Has nothing to do with that. I think guys like Ricky Mottram keeps this team really well together. They groom themselves together, and they have a community behind them that supports them. That helps.
No doubt. And it's a great little town. They have like a main street that is straight off of like the Andy Griffith show. Like when you come off 195 and you go into Main Street in Allentown going towards the high school, you better drop it down to 20 miles an hour because that's the speed limit on that.
1st and 10. And Winston will get up another 3 yards.
Yeah, that road's got like the ice cream parlor, the barber shop, the rocking chairs out in front, where people sit down, I'm sure, in the summer and enjoy like a nice lazy breeze on a July or August night. It's got a very old-fashioned feeling to it. I love it. I love going to Allentown.
And right now it looks like the entire town might be in the stands here at High Points Illusion Stadium. They came out to support. And here's Menino on the rush. He'll be a yard or two shy of that first down. Looks like 2 yards. So make it a 3rd down and 2.
3rd and 2 at the 38.
So you're winning their division, coming in as the number 2 seed overall into this tournament.
Rick Montran, the ball carrier.
Morristown, big win, 48-3, and then Jackson Memorial, they took care of business there as well against the defending champs. Yeah, maybe not the same Jackson Memorial team in years past. Of course, things have changed, but still have one of the better running backs. They did have one of the better running backs in the Garden State.
Dan, that's a tie game at the half. And then they blew things over. I think they caused a turnover real early in the 3rd quarter, and the next thing you know, it's a 41-15 game in favor of Allentown. And I had just covered Jackson a week before against Nottingham, where Jackson had been phenomenal. So that win kind of gave a little bit of a clue of just how good Allentown is.
The handoff to Joe Menino, brought down by John Prado.
Coach saying showed a lot of heart. Shows how dedicated and motivated this group is. It's Menino. Will pick up a first down. So back in the red zone again, 6 times today, and 3 of 5. But again, those early season losses, it wasn't the quickest start. Some guys coming off some injuries, weren't exactly where they wanted to be, trying to play these teams, and said, we have to play these teams like a St. Joseph or a Shawnee. You have to play those teams early on sometimes to say we can get ourselves to a championship game. That kind of is how you build character most of all. And we look at it throughout the entire schedule. Many of the teams that are playing in these championships, if they're not undefeated, they have the early season losses and they just got better from it.
When you play teams like that, you can look your players in the eye and say it with the utmost honesty. Guys, I don't know if we're going to see a team better than that.
Wide open, it's Mottram, and he's in there for a 24-yard reception. The pressure was coming, and Winston hit that southpaw, a beauty, over to the tight end. And it's a 33-0 lead here in the 3rd.
So well designed. Jordan draws in the pressure by backpedaling, then the back screen, and Motram has got open space, beats the defender to the inside the pylon. 33-0 pending the extra point.
And the kick is good. So make it 34-0. The 24-yard pass as Mottram pulls in reception number 9 for a touchdown. The guy who's a definition student athlete. So Winston finds another TD, and just so cool and calm in that pocket, even when the pressure was coming, and throws a really nice ball. The seniors connect, and it's a 34-zip advantage with under 5 minutes to go here in the third. McCray from left to right. Right into the chest. Obenauer. I think he just expects it at this time.
I think he set a record for most returns by an up back on kickoffs today.
It's at least 5 or 6 that they've kicked right at him.
The coverage by Menino and number 24, Ryan Locke.
So 4:49 to go here in the third. In a game that Allentown has pretty much dominated from start to finish. Really just one hiccup. 2 if you count that turnover on downs early, which was a pretty good stop after penalties hurt themselves. And then the INT, which was caught right at the goal line. Taylor, QB duties now, airs it out to double coverage, and it's intercepted.
Ryan Locke.
Number 24, Ryan Locke.
Third INT for the senior.
Something to pay attention to right now. 34-0. In New Jersey, when you lead by 35 points, it becomes running clock time. So the next points that Allentown puts on the board, if they do in this drive, will get running clock.
Allentown in complete control. And also they get themselves a chance to, compete at the big stage. Last time they did play in a championship game, it was at Rowan University. And no disrespect to Rowan, of course, but, it's not like Rutgers with the bigger atmosphere, the 50,000 seats. It's a different feel coming into here. Because you see that big stadium, the amount of teams that have come in here, Big Ten, it's a big conference, of course.
Number 58, Jared Wortheringham.
And Coach Graber was saying to me as Menino runs outside and trucks right through Brandon Williams. Spotted out at the 45, but he was even saying to me, I said, what is it like for the guys to actually play in a big stadium like this now and, wrap up a career, especially for some of the seniors? He said every year only 46 teams get a chance to compete for a sectional title in general.
You said only 46 teams. That's kind of funny.
I know, but when he says it at a big point, he said over 300, though. What is it, 380 plus? Don't get a chance to do this. And for a school that has only been there once before, they understand the importance of being able to get there and what it means. But I know what you're saying. The 46 sounds like a lot more than, it's a high number. Just break it down by percentage for that one.
Allentown going into a huddle now. Clock is on their side. They have control of everything right now. So no need to rush. Make the most of your possession, and if nothing else, take more time off the clock.
Shave is taken out after the play.
Jamison on the right side
by Leblow.
Flag on the play.
So that will definitely be a few more yards tacked on after this run. By the way, I just did the rough math. It's about 12% if we count it at 380. So still, say about 10%, 10 to 12%. It's still a decent number. Javes and Menino, the two seniors, who've done a nice job in this backfield. On the 27-yard line. A little under 3.5 minutes to play in the third quarter of this Central Group 4 championship game. High snap, they get it down and give it to Chavis, and now he gets the block outside, past the 10, the 5, in for a touchdown, but it looks like a hold. We'll be bringing this back.
Aiden Chavis, number 27. Flag is down.
Harris got tangled up on that far side with the block. So a replay first down after the penalty. Wipes the touchdown right off the board. And they go back to Chavis. Breaks a tackle, looking towards the end zone again. This time he's in. A 27-yard run. And it's 40-0 Allentown.
So Chavis goes 27 yards on the previous play, gets 10 yards because the hold negates the complete run, sends it back to the original line of scrimmage, where he then proceeds to break off another 27-yard run. This time it counts. 40-0 Allentown.
Number 27, running 27. And his 9th rushing TD of the season. McCray out for the PAT. And it is good. 41-0. 3:07 to play here in the third quarter. And if time wasn't already on the side of Brick Township, now it really isn't. Again, it's running clock if it's up by 35. So what a game so far from the Redbirds.
In every phase. In every phase.
Yeah. Touchdowns on the ground, touchdowns in the air. Defensively, they have been phenomenal. For a group that the most that they allowed this season, it was 37. That was week number 1. Since then, the most they surrendered was 28 against Pemberton in a 67-28 win. So you know some of those happen to be some garbage time points. Other than that, they've really been able to control teams. Playoffs alone, they have given up just 18 in general. 15 last game, 3 in the quarterfinals. None today.
Interesting development at MetLife. St. Joe's the number 1 team in our tri-state poll, 19. DePaul, 17. 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. That's another game you can watch on the News12Varsity.com website. That game's going on right now. Asbury Keyport is going on as well.
So we'll go untouched, out of bounds. Legal procedure. So we'll see if we kick it again and just take it from the 40. I actually saw a play like this before where they re-kicked twice and elected to re-kick twice. And on the third kick, because the first 2, of course, went out of bounds, the third kick by Sayreville, ended up being recovered by the Bombers. And that just continued the downward spiral for Middletown North. And you would think, of course, oh, kick into the wind. You want to let them do that. You're going to have good field position. It's not going to go as far. It ended up working out in their favor. So the 5-yard penalty will bring him back to the 35. Finds a man just to hit it to. That's exactly what it does. As it goes off the body of number 30, Dylan Rankin. The junior jumps on it. And from the 35-yard line, that is where Brick Township will begin.
First and 10, Brick Township at their own 35.
Get our final game of today. South Plainfield, Rumson Fairhaven. 7 o'clock start. 3-time reigning champs taking on a team that many consider to be the underdog, and they love it in South Plainfield. Tigers, who actually have never scored a point in any sectional title they've ever played in. They've lost all 3.
Taylor, the ball carrier.
Under Gary Cassio, who ended a 4-year playoff drought for them. And he really started to build up a school themselves, a local sergeant actually in the police force, who has the head coaching duties. Against an RFH team that, of course, we've seen what they can do. They have it on both sides. We've seen them plenty of times this year on News 12 Varsity. They could be one of the few teams who can say that they actually have won 4 consecutive titles.
Rochelle on the reception.
Yeah, last year was Central Jersey 3. The ones prior were in Central Jersey 2. So they moved up, and last year beat a Red Bank team that came in here undefeated.
The game of 6.
And beat them 21-0. Their defense is ridiculous. Rumson's absolutely ridiculous. What they did against Somerville, a team that was averaging 50 points a game, held them to 13 in the semifinals, really was what Rumson's all about defensively.
Costanza to Taylor. Winston will tackle him at the 47.
Brought down by Winston.
Yeah, their D this year have surrendered, on average, under 9 points per game, 95 points overall. And it's been 35 games since Rumson Fairhaven have given up 40 points or more. In 2013 was the last time they've allowed 40 points or more. It's kind of amazing what they've been able to do.
You know, some of those points, too, Dan, that were allowed were on special teams, not given up by the defense. And a couple defensive touchdowns were scored against Rumson as well. The defense had like a string of shutouts, like 6 or 7 at one point during the season.
Costanza's pass to Joe Carcio.
Carcio with the catch, and Winston giving him a nice good hit. You could hear the clanking of the pads and the helmets. Also the oohs and ahs from the sideline. 3 quarters in the books. 12 minutes away. Allentown is from hoisting their very first sectional championship. They're up 41-0 after 3. Stay tuned, 4th quarter just moments away on News 12 Varsity. Fourth quarter. Brick Township trailing Allentown here in the Central Group 4 championship game. 41-0, as you see on the bottom of your screen. What a contest so far by the Redbirds. Costanza airing it out to double coverage, and it is caught by Leblow. Heads to the end zone for the touchdown.
That's a great catch by Jimmy Leblow, going up and elevating on a jump ball. Great hands, pulling it down between defenders and then taking it the rest of the way for the score.
So that gets rid of the shutout. What a ball. And what a catch by Leblow, who isn't even one of their normal guys, at least in terms of the receiving core. He's maybe 5 or 6 on the depth chart in terms of going out there and trying to make a catch, but gets it done. An extra point is no good. So it's a 41-6 lead. And they'll actually keep it at 35. Well, looking at some of the stats through 3 quarters. Possession time may be pretty even. Everything else really is not. And this is prior to the last touchdown pass that just came from Brick Township. But through 3 quarters, it was 37 plays for 122 yards. Add another 40-something on that, 38. But 408 total yards of offense for Allentown, including 341 on the ground alone. 1 touchdown in the air. 4 of 10, Winston is. Game started with Winston's 4-yard TD run to make it 6-0 after the PAT was no good. Menino's 3-yard run. 12 Brown had a 42-yard INT. Winston had a 3-yard run. That was after a fumble recovery on the very next series by Allentown and led to some points. Mottram in the 3rd quarter had a 24-yard reception as Winston was being pressured. And then Chavis had the 27-yard touchdown run to make it 41-0. And the one you just saw from the Green Dragons. First and 10 from the 47-yard line. Gavon Johnson now in at QB, and they fumble the football on the transfer.
Gavon Johnson on the recovery.
Trying to get it to Rashawn Emery, the sophomore. So after that one play, Winston will just come back out. Second and 16. And a false start will be called against Allentown. Seven penalties for 55 yards total. Hampered them in that first series mostly when they had a 1st and goal from the 9. Since then, it really hasn't hurt him too much. High snap. And Menino has to just swarm over and jump on the football back at the 19-yard line. They'll mark him actually at the 20 instead. So far in 2 plays on this drive alone, we've had a near fumble and then a bad snap. So a loss of 27 yards total. It's 3rd down and 37. So Allentown will call a timeout. So they got the play clock down to mere seconds to kill off a little bit more time. That will be their second timeout. It's a 41-6 contest. Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner, thanks so much for joining us here at Rutgers University, Piscataway, New Jersey. Part of all our coverage today and all our coverage this weekend of the NJSIAA Championship games. Today's at Rutgers, the champions. Piscataway took the first one against Manalapan in our 10 o'clock game. Then to the 1 o'clock contest, Sayreville comes back on top, scoring some big unanswered points. They were trailing 14-0, and they put up 41 consecutive to win another sectional title. Good to see them from where they were a couple of years ago to now find themselves back up top with that program. A little more than 9 minutes to play. Winston back out there. The option runs up the gap and just picks up a couple of yards. So a 4th and very long. We'll bring out the punting unit. Something they haven't done much today. Only the second time McCray will come out and punt. As expected, you'll see them wait as long as they can. Another high snap, though. A high kick, not very far. Brick Township gets a generous bounce. So from the 30-yard line of Allentown territory, this I actually believe is the deepest they have been in their territory all game. First and 10 from the 30, Costanza. Back at QB, here comes the pressure and wrapped up. Ball's loose. Squibs all the way back to the 36-yard line. Harrison Hill was first there, caused the fumble, and Allentown will have the football.
Second recovery for number 75.
McKelly Quinones. His second fumble recovery of the season and of the game. What a shot there, Greg, from Harrison Hill. Just running over guys, getting himself to Costanza, and dragging him around like a rag doll.
And then that fumble becomes basically an arm wrestling match as to who's going to come out with it. Both guys get on top of the ball. Allentown pulls it out. Has the ball to Brick 36. 6:41 to go in the game.
Another run and another 3-yard gain. Really no surprise there as Menino had the carry.
Menino on the carry. Cole Cochelle, number 7 on the stop.
Graber feeling this week that the guys would just appreciate the opportunity to play here, but knowing that they would still have enough fire in them to come out and compete. One, that winning is the only thing that matters here. It's not enough just to be here. You have to win here as well, but still have respect for everything. And they've shown both. They look happy to be playing out here, and they're having fun while they're doing it. It also helps when you're up 41-6.
Number 6, Josier Taylor. 3rd and 8.
A program that once had to forfeit regular season games because they lacked players. Didn't have a win in 2006 and 2007, both of those seasons. Only one win in 05. 3 combined from 04 to 07. Graber took over, and since then it's been nothing but on the rise. Most wins in program history in 2012. It's when they won 9. They're about 5 minutes away from having the most wins in their program history, which would end up being 10. Then the loss in overtime in the finals in their very first trip. 2014 loss, Delzia. Now, trip number 2, only a couple of minutes away from being able to celebrate and hoist their very first championship. High snap actually goes into the hands of Emory. So the sophomore on 4th down will just result in a turnover on downs. Some bad snaps here in the last couple of minutes, but luckily for them, up by 35, it doesn't matter as much.
Thought that was a cool move by the Allentown staff that brought Jordan Winston off the field prior to that last play. Now he's going back out on defense, but they did bring him out, give him a hug and an embrace for a job well done. It's cool for Allentown that this senior group that's been at the grassroots of this, gradual movement to where they're at right now is going to celebrate this championship. Now what you get to find out is what these underclassmen have, what these returning guys have, if they can sustain this at Allentown, because that is inevitably what Jay Graber wants to build, something that has staying power from class to class. When one of those teams that's the foundation moves on, can the kids who've been there to watch that foundation grow carry on what they started, and thus you get tradition, legacy, and a continued program.
And don't forget even their opponent on the far side wearing green, a group that is known about tradition and building a program for years. They have a lot of young players who contribute. 8 against sophomores. That's been probably the biggest surprise overall for this team, is how well this sophomore class has really been able to come together. Just a real special group. Coach Zandanowicz was joking to me, said he used to always talk as another sack comes here from the big heavy front. It's Costanza taken down at the 20. Said Kevin Campbell was a former D coordinator and good buddy of his to always say every sophomore you have playing in there, you almost have to chalk up a loss. Well, he said, I think we kind of got rid of that this year. 8 wins, and we played a lot of sophomores. He knew that class would be important. A former middle school coach, and the guy who knows the community very, very well. Living there, growing up there, kind of always felt that sophomore class for years would find their way to the next level. Well, they contributed this season and in a way kind of overachieved. So they still have a good future going forward. And for Allentown, they're hoping to do exactly the same. Leblow on another reception. Again, he has the lone touchdown today.
Yeah, one of those sophomores in particular, Cole Groeschel, is somebody that is exciting to watch and that contributes to the Green Dragons' efforts on both sides of the ball as a defensive back and as a receiver.
Leblow, nice little catch.
Nice grab by Leblow on the side.
So it'll be right at the 44. Leblow and Groeschel, again, those are 2 guys who will be coming back next year as part of their wide receiver group. And, of course, the quarterback position is still something that's kind of up in the air going forward. Running backs as well, because they lose 2 guys who got a bulk of carries this year. They'll bring some pieces back on the offensive line. They'll bring 2 over. As gets deflected and then eventually into the hands of Leblow as it got swatted up into the air. There was a flag on this play as well. We'll stop the clock at $1:23.
That was thrown from the back, Judge, towards the line of scrimmage with some purpose. Like he saw something, a transgression that he was.
First foul on the offense. Dead ball
Personal foul on the offense. 15-yard penalty. That's the only reason why the clock is stopped. With a 35-point score. So far, it's probably our most decisive game here today at Rutgers, and from the start, we kind of felt it. You're almost seeing, Brick Township maybe work something out here and grind it out, maybe find their rhythm, get a turnover, but it didn't happen. To start to finish, Allentown was just the better team today.
Allentown maximized possessions, did it through the ground primarily, softened up the coverage every once in a while to hit a pass downfield. Defense was just stout from pillar to post.
Costanza gets a man. It's Jasir Taylor will be playing his final game in a Green Dragon uniform for next year, trading that in to become an Owl. A year from now, you could be seeing him play at the Link. Under a minute, and the Allentown faithful start to get loud. Costanza across the middle. Another completed catch. This time it was Jay Obenauer. The clock will stop at 25 seconds as one of the Green Dragons is down. Might be Obenauer. It seemed that was the guy who actually made the catch. So, Greg, what a season it's been for both of these teams. Fortunately, of course, it has to come to an end no matter what. But look at the past champions in Central Group 4. Sayreville from 2010 to 2012. Brick Township in 2013. Jackson Memorial the last 2 seasons. And now it's going to be Allentown marking up those names.
And Allentown's going to be waving the flag of the CVC. So even though they reside in Monmouth County, they're representing the brotherhood of Mercer County. And I'm sure there's plenty of programs in Mercer County and within the CVC for sure that will be reaching out to Jay Graber to offer their congratulations for a job well done by the Redbirds.
Former college football player, came in as the head coach 7 years ago and has brought this school to new heights. This timeout's going to be called by Brick with 11 seconds remaining. Correction before, it was McCall who was making the catch and then down injured. Had to be helped off. So Costanza and company will play to the end here. One shot towards the end zone. Looking for Leblow in addition to Groeschel. Can't find the sophomores, and now there's a couple of flags on this play. Of course, stay with us after this game. Final one today here at Rutgers, 7 p.m. South Plainfield, Rumson Fairhaven for the Central Group 3 Championship. And stay tuned after the game. We'll talk to one of the victorious Allentown Redbirds. I'll give you a hint. It might be their quarterback, Jordan Winston. I just gave it away. Costanza down the far sideline. Nearly intercepted. And that is going to do it. couple of years ago, it was their first sectional championship appearance. Now, it's their first sectional championship title. The 2016 Central Group 4 title goes to the Allentown Redbirds. Their 10th win, the most in their program's history, and their very first championship that will be sitting in their school. From start to finish, it was all Allentown. 41 unanswered points. They got it from the defense, they got it from the offense, and of course they got it from Jordan Winston, their QB, who will be going on to play some baseball in the future and closed out his football career with a title. Stay tuned for more on News 12 Varsity.